Thank you very much for the questions. I'll start off with Linda's questions. On fiscal drag, we've said very clearly that we do not support tax increases. South Africans are battling. Everybody knows that people are battling to pay for their bonds, to pay for their cars, to pay for the education for their children, etc. We have an unbearable tax burden in South Africa. We looked very carefully at that, and it is very clear that if government manages our money effectively, you do not have to increase taxes, and you do not actually have to compensate for fiscal drag either. So we believe that South Africans have taken enough pain and enough punishment by a government that is simply unable to manage and spend its money wisely. And that is why we have been very emphatic around our tax increases. What we have done also, if you look closely at the numbers, we've carefully costed this also. So what we are saying is we can do what we say we will do, even if the economy does not grow, and even if we do not increase the taxes, because government spending can be managed far more effectively, and we can manage the public sector the public sector wage bill, etc. So that is why we are coming to that conclusion. And then on expenditure savings, we do believe that it is actually sustainable. Our policy unit has spent over a year already, also with expert support, on designing a very carefully calibrated response to, if we take away the spending in the economy in this way, this is what it can mean, and also, can we actually do that? So, for example, can you actually cut the public sector wage bill? Because we know the trade unions are very strong, we know that there's a whole lot of political vested interests, etc. So what we looked at to say, well, what can we actually do? So in the event that the DA is the government after May, we walk into the union buildings, we will be able to implement those savings over time incrementally. It is in fact doable. We do believe that. On social assistance, absolutely. The reason why the DEA has for years been talking about social assistance is because we actually have a massive problem in our country. We have South Africans, millions. There are 5 million children that are starving, according to the Nelson Mandela Children's Trust. 5 million children in our country at this very time are starving in a country that is rich as ours. That should not be happening. We have families that are actually relying on the Social Relief of Distress grant. It's a very small amount of money, and they pool it together because they're just barely managing to stay alive in an economy that is actually rich because it is mismanaged. That is why we are in this place. So yes, the ANC has said, well, if you don't vote for us, you're going to lose your grant. We all know that's not true. And I think everybody knows also that the DA isn't responding to that. We're responding to the cry of South Africans who are actually listening to their children that are crying because they're actually hungry. And that is what drives us. We also believe that even if the economy does not grow and we manage the spending, we will be able to increase the child grant, because if children are not getting enough food, they can't grow their brains enough, and then they can't learn enough at school. So that you then create a whole process that happens over generations that we pay for. So it makes enormous sense to increase the child grant to make sure that children are nutritionally rich enough to be able to become everything that they're capable of becoming. And that is why our focus on the grants. We have already said we would absolutely guarantee the grants that are currently in place, but we believe that they can be enhanced. So the SRD can evolve into a job seekers grant. The child grant can increase. The old age grant could increase at a faster pace because it's falling behind. So we've looked very carefully at that. And it has absolutely nothing to do with the fact that there's in fact an election, because life goes on. We don't know what the election's going to bring, but we certainly want to make sure that we can change the lives of people in South Africa that are battling every single day. That is why we have a very strong focus on supporting vulnerable South Africans.
Get help registering to vote at check.da.org.za. Register to rescue South Africa.